here we are. Is it recording now?
Mine is recording. What about yours, Mauro?
Yeah, it's recording, yeah. So, thank you very much for coming back. What I'm trying to do, we may talk about colonialism. One thing coming from Latin America and living in the UK has to do with, and this is not part of the book, that's how why I do the research I do. It has to do with colonialism of the mind. We tend to talk about sovereignty. Usually the authors we have are mainly from the US or the UK or very few other countries. The ones that tend to get more resonance and they are used widely. And the problem is that we tend to maintain the status quo. That has to do with what I tend to call a mindset or the colonialism of the mind. This speech and my books by no means are a complaint against the UK or France or Spain. In fact, I have colleagues from all these countries and I work in the UK. It's a fact that we need to incorporate not only lawyers and political scientists or international relations experts or philosophers, but we have to do it from all around the world if we want to move to the next step and hopefully a better position. That is why the conclusions are my conclusions, and I'm more than happy for them to be challenged. The history is important, or the historical chronology, but it's not relevant if we want to finish with these disputes. In the sense they are not conclusive. We may take them into account as one of, as I call, a colorable claim as a historical entitlement. But if we assume we are going to finish the dispute, but by only focusing or paying attention to the history behind the disputes, we won't move into a solution. That is why, once again, I stress, this is not to judge former empires. This is part of our human history. We need to move on. To distinguish historical facts from religious account. I'm a Catholic, I'm a Christian, I have friends from any religion or belief. However, that is a different take, a different understanding. We need to move away as well from that. As I said before the break, to take into account not only the domestic and not only domestic agents, but also the region and the international element. International in the sense of the negative, some negative influence, and the regional in the sense of the positive, guarantors. It's very important to have regional guarantees around these disputes when we come to a solution. To understand this is a multi-level, fact and norm. We are not only normative machines, between inverted commas, and to use Boolean normative systems, we as well function with other people. And to try, and that would be my challenge to to my colleagues from now on. I think it's time to, we can keep on teaching public international law. We need something fresher if we want to solve them. If we want to keep on teaching, that is fine. We have the textbook. If we want to solve them, we better do something about it. That is why we need to bring the theory together to be able to analyze, to review these disputes and to solve them. One of the many solutions, egalitarian shared sovereignty. This is not by any means the solution. This is the solution Jorge Núñez proposes. But this is not one solution fits all. Yes, it's simply I dare to offer one solution. I'd like to hear more people offering more solutions than simply writing papers about problems. I'm a bit sick of going to conferences and the only thing we do is talk about problems. I'd like to see more solutions than problems. One point, an author from Yale, Pogge, he writes about poverty, and I use this quotation to put what I'm trying to say. I disagree with him. Yes, it is important, to recognize the sins of our ancestors. Yes, in that part I have in agreement. But the rest, to actively excluding the global poor and the corrupt and incompetent leaders. We have good and bad leaders in democratic and non-democratic countries. Once again, this is more complex than that. That's once again, I'm offering a multi-level. This is not, Donald Trump will not solve the dispute, and he's not responsible for solving them because Obama didn't. Benjamin in Israel, my example from the elephant before, Alberto Fernandez or Cristina Kirchner won't solve the Falkland Malvinas, Boris Johnson won't. This is up to us as well. professionals. We need to start working together. So although I agree, we cannot benefit from our ancestors since the reality in the UK and Spain and France, we have many people and many different interests. I deal with that as well in the book. It's not a state plan in the sense we can see the UK as one entity, international of course, we have to think as lawyers here, yes? As a political scientist and as a philosopher, I need to think as well, we have different interests within each state, yes? Individual, group interests, and so on. We need to have this multi-dimensional view in order to recognize what is out there. Again, if the will is to solve the disputes, if we want the status quo, let's keep on playing Donald Trump is evil or Vladimir Putin is evil. Once again, probably my main conclusion has to do with the multi-dimensional analysis, and the key, sovereignty is not absolute, it's limited, and it is because of its limitation that it's an enhancement. I see limitations as enhancement. It is because of its limitation that any sovereign state can cooperate. Yes. To dominate, it's a choice. To cooperate is a choice as well. My egalitarian, shared sovereignty has to do with my way of solving these issues, has to do with, and that's probably the last conclusion in terms of the book, and I'll finish with myself in a second. It cannot be given to one of the claiming parties. They will need to find a solution in which no party is missing or taking anything more than the other. If the existing conditions continue, the status quo will only grant more volatile regional and local disputes. And any other party alien to the disputes, and I mean, and I don't mind naming the UK, Russia, or the US, shouldn't be part of the negotiations unless they are party in the disputes. And I dare to include even United Nations, because United Nations, as it stands, the scheme is not democratic enough. I'm talking about the Security Council. Until we have a more democratic United Nations, I don't advise any country to go through United Nations to solve these disputes. We need something that offers equal footing. And that's me combined with my two books and my ongoing work. COVID, I'm from Latin America. What I see with this situation is not new to me. We've been having, as Mauro knows, roundtables here in Manchester and with people all around the world. And funny enough, we come to the same conclusions. The health issues in terms of education, climate change are not new. It's simply we have a magnifying glass right now that tends to show a bit more evident to people that used to be blind, that we have poor people, we have health issues, we have educational issues, and so on. So to me, I see this as a blessing. It's a turning point. We can have a U-turn and go back to keep on teaching with our textbooks from Cambridge University Press, Oxford University Press, and so on. And I'm not against these publishers, they are exceptional. But we need something else. If we have, to build in mind a new modernity, a better new modernity. And I think it's time we do that. And I'm using three main religions here just to put a quote, in the sense, we may have goodwill. Goodwill is not enough. We may have 1 or 2 more lines on our CV, that's not my book, that Jorge person. Breaking news, we are all going to die, whether coronavirus or not. I think it's, I dare all of us, and whoever, listens to this presentation in the future, to do something to improve this world. Whether I'm a lawyer, I'm a political scientist, or I'm a philosopher, this is not wishful thinking. I've been doing that for many years. Do you need resources? Not many, just the willingness to do it. I'm not exceptional. I think I'm just very patient because I want to see change. And I think we can be part of that change, whether we are Muslims, Catholics, or Jewish, or any other faith or no faith. And to finish off, why probably has to do with my Argentinian/Italian background. Jorge Luis Borges is an author from Argentina, very well known in Latin America. So what I'm saying is not new to me. It has to do with my upbringing or my education from family to primary and secondary education. People from diverse tribes, as he says, religions, and so on, they do have a choice to be reasonable. That has to do with my 2017 book, yes. What reasonable people would do in cases of territorial disputes. They would look for affinities. Yes, they will look for affinities and they will try to put a solution. Again, this is not law, this is, Borges, and a very famous author in Argentina. The message I'm trying to bring, we are not equal. This kind of inclusive speeches I'm completely against. We are very different. We are all different. And it is because of our differences that we can do something together. We have the choice, it's an axiological choice. We can dominate or we can cooperate. We can exclude or we can include. To me, it's key. The cooperation, two things, mutual respect and equal standing, yes, regardless of our abilities or disabilities in terms of international relations or in terms of civil societies. And I've learned this very, very young in my life. For the ones that are, and I'm finishing here, Katarina, for the ones that are used to Star Trek, that cartoon here, it's a metaphor of the Borg. The Borg to me represents the UK, represents France, or represents Spain, old ones. Inclusion. They see inclusion as assimilating others. When I go here to classes and I've been trying to be assimilated, accent, the way I speak, the way I write, and so on. No, we are very unique. That is not inclusion, that is assimilation, as the Borg doing Star Trek. What I learned, people get confused with the Pope, that sign. I do sign languages, I was explaining Katarina, British sign languages. That sign is not I love you. It means I accept you the way you are. Yes, the Pope, the story says he learned that sign from the Philippines, the Philippines. No, the reality, the Pope is from Argentina. He learned that sign from that lady, blonde lady there, Brazilian lady that used to work and still works for children for 40 years or so, and the founder of the foundation I represent here. Yes, that means inclusion to me. And in Latin America, we learned that from her and from the deaf community. Inclusion means I accept you the way you are. Whether you are from India or from Argentina or from the US, whether you are a political scientist or a lawyer, yes, or a philosopher. And that is why, thank you very much, in sign languages as well. Thank you to Katarina, to Mauro, and to Mark, and thank you once again to the Department of Law, Stockholm University, and to Mauro here, the Department of Philosophy, Uppsala University, and to all the attendees, obrigado, gracias, thank you very much, namaste. Thank you.
Thank you, Jorge. Perhaps we could stop the sharing, and then there is time for the discussion. So please go ahead.
I'm going to drink water.
Yeah, it sounds like a good idea.
Was it okay in timing?
Yes, yes. Yeah, the timing was good. You were even before now in this part. So I don't see anyone raising their hand. So if you don't.
Someone is asking how is the discussion working? Maybe they are confused.
Yes, exactly.